So my name is Carlos Santos, head of products for KAON. I joined KAON around 2017 with the objective to bring KAON Broadband as a major segment lead into the broadband part. Of course, KAON is already known or quite known from a video domain. So my main responsibility is definitely to support the European team and making sure that the product development, the business development, the product strategy is defined and aligned with the demands of the market. So that's why I'm also here. So on that note, I jump to the presentation. So quick inputs about who are we. So KAON Media was created in 2001. We recently had a spin-off on the 3rd of July 2020 to create a dedicated broadband branch, as we call it. I will explain a little bit more in details what exactly does mean. So we are definitely focused on three elements. So access network CPE, so bringing access technology across all technologies. We are focusing in what we call the enabling the open source platform for CPEs with the uplift of services. Once again, I will clarify what do we mean with this strategy, and last part, of course, the remote management and data analysis capability. So these are the three main pillars where KAON is definitely focusing. On the broadband side, we are quite recent, so sometimes it's good not to have a legacy, and I will explain also when I present our value proposition. On the side note, we are present in more than 230 customers. We follow those customers, so we have local dedicated technical and sales team, more than 245 engineers, and 80 sales employees, once again split across the globe. We have a dedicated R&D center based in South Korea, so that is where the headquarters of KAON is presented, and that R&D center is then split in Croatia and USA. So in a nutshell, this is also a quick evolution about KAON. So as I mentioned, established in 2001, mainly recognized in the industry as the video leader. We recently, as I mentioned, in 2015, we established what we call the network business division, which pretty much allow us to create the broadband segment. So from 2015 onwards, let's be a little bit more precise, we have made some great achievements. In 2 years, we were able to bring our first DOCSIS device into the Cable Lab certification. It's quite a successful product. And from then onwards, we have penetrated the market. And once again, as I said, we are quite a recent company from a broadband segment perspective. As I will demonstrate in the next slides, that is bringing us quite momentum in terms of driving open source and defining our strategy accordingly. So our involvement in Broadband Forum, quite simply, once again, you know, we are a member since 2017 when we actually introduced successful to the PBF 247 certification program, our first XG-PON device. So inside KAON, we truly believe that the Broadband Forum is the key driving force for the development of the broadband segments. And one example is the leadership demonstrated on the recent testing and certification programs, such as the BBF 369 USB, which we are actively following. The recent testing and certification programs will support, we truly believe these, and drive the mission of open standards and open source reference implementation. And we at KAON, we are 200% committed to join the different working groups and bring an active and tangible contribution together with the other broadband partners. So this is, you know, how we see our involvement into the Broadband Forum, and also giving you a little bit of hints towards our strategy internally and how we will support BBF accordingly. going a little bit further, right? So I think it's important. So I presented KAON in a nutshell, starting as a video company, evolving towards the broadband AI data element company. So it's important that, we give to this important audience in a snapshot, what is our value proposition. So I like to start by this single sentence that pretty much says it everything, and it just helps me to break down the presentation. So open source platform and services ecosystem enablement on CPE devices. This is what we are focused when it comes to the broadband side. So let's split these in 3 domains. Domain number 1 is definitely the hardware. Well, at the end of the day, we are an OEM, so hardware is what we do. We always have done that, once again, from a video to the broadband sides. So 4 elements on the hardware which are driving the market. So first of all, hardware diversity. So we see a major demand from operators when it comes to diversity on the hardware, not just in terms of, configurations of the single hardware, like different Wi-Fi configurations, different LAN configurations, but diversity when it comes to the silicons, to the main CPU, to the host CPU. So that is something that our roadmap contains, hardware diversity to meet the demand of these of the market and of course of the customers. Feature-proof platform. So regarding, we take into consideration always 3 elements: the CPU, memory, and configurable Wi-Fi, right? So CPU and memory, because it really depends what the customers are looking for the platform or for the products, and how they see the evolution of this platform in the coming 3, 5, or even 10 years. Configurable Wi-Fi, because what we see now recently and now coming very close also to the European segments, the introduction of the 6 gigahertz. So it's important that from the product point of view, the platform is ready to support this evolution, or this adaptive evolution, as we call it. So we also take that into consideration. It's part of our portfolio. Then the other 2 elements are, of course, driven by market demands. Design. So we, of course, our products, our platform have our own IP design off the shelf, but we most of the times work with IP customer related design languages. So we follow those tendencies, while at the same time we keep a very important KPI inside the way we build those products, which is related to the environment friendly, becoming more and more a mandatory requirement from all the partners, all the operators that we work with, not only from the moment or how you build your products, right? Regarding the quality of the plastics, more screws, less screws, more rubber, less rubber, but also the KPIs that are driven from your manufacturing sites. Yeah, so your footprint in terms of carbon emissions are quite important for the operators. And we also take these into consideration, and we have yearly KPIs that we are happy to say that we achieve with quite good success. So from a hardware point of view, this is it. Of course, today we will not go into our family branch. That's not the purpose of this introduction, but just for the audience to have an idea in terms of what are our main elements when it comes to the hardware. Second part is the software, because, let's be honest, when it comes to hardware, anyone can do it, right? So I think the major differentiator that we are presenting today, and we will be presenting in the future, is the unified software. So what is the unified software concept for KAON? Very simply, same software for all access networks, based on open source. That is the most important thing for us, right? So we don't want to produce or deliver a product to a customer that is written in a proprietary software stack. So we definitely are driven by open source, and we consume a lot from the community, and we also contribute upstream to make sure that the concept of open source is really driven by the industry. So that is point number 1. Second one is, of course, to give the freedom to our customers, and keep in mind that our customers are mainly operators, give them the possibility to optimize the feature utilization. What do we mean with that? So give to the operators the capability for them to drive their own product roadmap and focus on how to bring additional values to devices, right? So at the end of the day, when the customer asks us for a product and we work with the customer towards that product, we want them to feel in control of that product, right? Not just the moment we deliver it, but from that moment onwards. And we are supporting that the customer from that moment onwards. So we are quite proud to say that we are innovative from that perspective. All of these make sense when we introduce the major differentiator. And once again, it's all about monetization of the hardware, monetization of the platform, and introducing here the concept of the service orchestration. So here, once again, the link to a broadband forum becomes more and more strong. So using here USP agent and the controller logic fully integrated. So this is what we are porting into our software baseline. So once again, fully open source, open standard. So we follow standardization as defined by this group, but we also pay attention to other groups. Regardless, so we bring that information into our mainstream software. Introducing, as you know, the remote management or the lifecycle management for deployment and enablement of services. How we do that? Once again, we are not here to reinvent the wheel. We are here to work with partners, and we bring those partners. Some of them are also part of the Broadband Forum. We work with those partners to create this holistic ecosystem view, where we give the flexibility to the operators to enable, to manage, to deploy what we call the multiple services into the multiple containers as per our software strategy. So just one last note in terms of our mission and approach. Our value proposition today is available and ready for deployments. And we truly believe that we are in a unique position to bring up what we call the platform solution, meaning enabling the service orchestration, while at the same time we support the future hardware platform, because that is key for the success of the operators, and this is how we are positioning into the market segment. Quick note on the software. Once again, I like to use simple words or simple statements. One is ecosystem and the other one is standardization, right? So standardization when it comes to different SOCs across the different access technologies. So we have created this abstraction layer, hardware abstraction layer, and we have built this middleware on top of it. And of course, the ecosystem is also important because it allows what we call a revenue sharing model enabled by powerful management tools. So I'm not going to explain the vertical architecture. In this audience, there are people much more experts than I am. But, you know, I think it's clear to understand that we are mainly driven by open standards, and we have created, you know, this vertical ecosystem so that customers, operators feel comfortable with this solution. Yeah, so we truly believe that the CPE is and it will continue to be the primary interactive contact point between the operator and the customer, driven by open source, allowing the operator to control their own roadmap. Yeah, CPE or the device, the end device, has always on secure device for customer broadband services provisioning and delivery. This is our vision. This is how we believe the CPE will sit inside the customer household, enabling capabilities in terms of third-party services, because that is what we see also in demand, not only from the customers, yeah, but also from the people that use those devices. Yeah, so that's easy to explain. So one last note just on the service orchestration and device management. Once again, this is very similar to the discussions that are happening inside the different working groups of Broadband Forum, but I think it's important that we give this holistic view, right? Because we have been talking about the hardware, we talked about the software, service orchestration, but what you see in this picture is actually what we envision and what we are actually already deploying in some customers, right? So in the middle, you have the CPE. Well, in this case, is running our, as we call it, Quantum, the open source software, which is built in a way that enables this service orchestration. And on top of that, we have created this umbrella for the services app store, and allowing or giving the full capability or the full control to the operators to decide, pretty much pick and choose which service are in demand into their markets and what makes more sense in order to enhance their customer base. So we see definitely that you know, when it comes to the CPE, it's an open door, right, to everything that you want to deploy into the customer premises. It will continue to be. I think we all need to be very smart and efficient in terms of how we provide those solutions to the customers, and here we truly believe that elements like the lifecycle management will be one of the main challenges operators will face in the current year, but also in 2022. So we see this in demand. Our experience based on the ongoing RFQs is exactly that. So we see the customers' concern to build their new platforms, their new generation of platforms, to make sure that they can introduce those services. And at the same time, once again, linking here to the work that we are doing with Broadband Forum, and we will continue to do with Broadband Forum, is to take the lead role, to enable operators to introduce this service orchestration, make sure that they have a way to manage the health and life cycle of those containers. Containers means also, of course, services, and maintain that life cycle of services running inside the containers, to make sure that at the end of the day, you know, the core services of the CPE, like internet, like voice, are not damaged or are not in risk because of these services running on top of all this software. So one last note here. So regarding our platform solution, once again, we break down things in simple terms. The hardware is important, is key, is differentiator. The operating system that you put on top of it, once again, open source, following open standards, not only driven by Broadband Forum, but other working groups, and the holistic service ecosystem. This is what we believe the platform solution is becoming to shape in the global market, not just focusing, of course, on the European market, but definitely on the global elements. As I mentioned, open platform and services, right? So we, inside KAON Broadband, we truly believe on the capability, or what we call the uplift of the services. So pretty much our platform is built so that our customers can enable whatever services they want. Once again, we are not here to reinvent the wheel. We work with multiple partners that support us in this end-to-end technology. Some of them are presenting today the session, but I just want to say that in terms of demand, and I think this is also important to share in this audience, we see three steers, right? So steer number one is driven by Wi-Fi, so the capability to manage in-home Wi-Fi. So not only because of the recent pandemic situation, but it was already a demand into the customer household. So this will continue to grow. So that's why we are also very focused and also once again creating strategic partnerships with some enablers of these Wi-Fi management solutions. Second element is driven by cybersecurity. So definitely we see cybersecurity, not only parental control, but going a little bit more into more deep analysis of the data traffic is also driving the demands. So more and more people are concerned about how to use secure channels in terms of communication. So that is definitely something driven by cybersecurity. And the third element, which is interesting and actually recent, and it's driven by how operators can optimize their IP network to deliver video content. So we see a demands on, making sure that there is an optimization of the CDNs to deliver multicast streams over the IP, and this can be done by the broadband CPE. We are seeing here a shift from, video companies towards the broadband sides and merging things. So we are also making sure that KAON has solutions to support all of that. So in a nutshell, this is what we are doing. Last slide from my side, because once again, today is about Broadband Forum. It's important to have some specific business drivers that support this strategy, right? So in terms of CapEx, once again, hardware as one-time charge with a longer and useful life. This is what we truly believe, and we see this in demand. So operators do not want to change hardware every year. It's not feasible. Yeah. So I think there is a game changer here. CPE services as a value add, revenue with a minimum upfront cost, right? So on board of new market opportunities and increase revenue sharing with third-party integrations. This is what is in demand. We see this in all the RFQs that we participate. Move away from a static commercial offer. So it's not just about internet and voice and Wi-Fi, it's much more, right? So you deliver the platform and you enhance that platform across the time and across the demand of your customers. And of course, very important is to address the churn by enabling operators to tailor customer propositions to match their dynamic needs. Yeah, so we need to take into consideration that what we are saying here, it's only possible because of what we have presented 3 slides back, right? So all of these driven by USP agent controller logic, all of these driven by service orchestration, the capability or the enablement that we all are providing and working together to make sure that this is part of a core value proposition to anyone that wants to use it. Yeah. On the second hand, on the OpEx part, reduce integration efforts, right? Testing cycles and time to market when launching new services, bug fixes. Keep in mind that the strategy is to have a software across the different access technologies, and that software or that middleware remains untouchable, regardless of what we do on the upstream side, on the services sides, exposing those elements. Multiple devices with a single software stack. So once again, I'm not going to mention here the concept of the universal gateway. Of course, that is something that we as an OEM, we work every day, but from an architecture point of view, that is quite demanding, quite complex. Not impossible, but it just requires specific work to be done. And we truly believe that this approach will provide a longer product life cycle to regular platform upgrades, right? So this is what we truly believe. And inside KAON, we work every day to make sure that we pay attention to those KPIs coming from operators. And that's on my side.